what did you think of the return for Gallo from New York?
I thought you guys did a great job breaking it down this morning. I don't know. I know there were a lot of reports that perhaps there was a deal with San Diego to get a guy like Robert Hassel, who individually is rated more highly than any of the rumored 4 guys to be going to Texas. But I don't know that deal was ever actually there for the Rangers to choose from. I think they got that one perhaps to the 5-yard line. I don't know if that ever got to the finish line. And even if it did, I think that philosophically, do you want to, you used the word dart earlier this morning, Sean. Do you want to go to the deal with 1 dart that might be the strongest dart of them all, or 4 darts? And, the Rangers have a lot of depth in their system, more so on the pitching side. This will allow them to fortify their depth on the position player side. And the reality is, I know we want immediate answers, and in the NBA and the NFL, when they're trades, we typically get immediate answers because they're more known commodities. We're going to have to wait and see. What do these guys amount to? Ezekiel Duran, Glenn Otto, Josh Smith, Trevor Hauver. What are these guys long term? The guy who's the most highly rated, I think by most publications is Duran. Fangraphs already has him as the 3rd best prospect for the Rangers. So it's tough to dislike the deal. It's just a matter of, did you want that one guy or did you want the bigger package? And the Rangers got a bigger package. And if one of these 4 guys hit, then we're going to look back on this deal and say this was a success.
What else are Rangers fans telling you that they would have preferred?
Well, I think, keeping Joey Gallo, right? And that's, again, it goes back to he's the known commodity. He's the guy who's endeared himself to the fans over the last several years. He hits the monster home runs, and he's having his best year of his career. And, no fan, no front office member, no player wants to be in the position where you're selling. So, no matter what return the Rangers got, there's always that degree of disappointment because the fact that you're having to trade Joey Gallo is an indication that organizationally you're not competing for a postseason spot or beyond. So I do think a lot of people obviously wanted to keep Joey. I think Joey became a fan favorite. But I don't know. I know people look at the rankings, right? And these rankings are very arbitrary to some degree. Obviously, there's credence to them, but just because a guy's ranked 7th and a guy's ranked 12th doesn't mean the guy who's ranked 7th is going to definitively be a better player. And, the thing I've seen as well, they didn't get a top 10 guy from the Yankees based on this publication, or they didn't get a top 5 based on this. And, at this point, this is where your scouts make a big difference. The data, the research, you don't scout based on rankings. You scout based on what you see. And these are the guys the scouts felt like were good enough to justify doing the deal.
When you look at the Rangers and their system and the plan, was the plan here – how about this? Explain to the layman why, they're looking at guys that aren't going to play today in the Major League system and why they're looking at guys who may be here in 2023 at spring training because that's probably when Jack Leiter and Krause and some of these other guys may be up. Why would they prefer that as opposed to win now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the Rangers could get, you mentioned earlier, RJ, this morning, and it was circulating on Twitter, Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt's a really good pitcher, and he probably, depending on how he continues to recover from his arm injury, maybe he would have made an appearance this year, certainly next year. I don't think you turn down Clark Schmidt just because he could arrive earlier, but the reality is the Rangers' best years are not right now, and they're not even next year. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now. And so the more talent you gather, the more guys you get whose targeted arrival is in the next 2 to 3 years. And then on top of that, hopefully hitting their stride in the next 3 to 4 years, then you can really bring a lot of force and arrive on the scene, in style, so to speak. And obviously you supplement what you already have with free agent signings. That's going to be important. It is important for this team to start spending. You supplement what you have with, drafts. They're probably going to have another top 5 pick. You got to do a good job internationally. It's got to come from all angles, but the Rangers are doing a really good job of fortifying their farm. And again, I know some people want the flash and sizzle of that one big prospect, and maybe that guy was there. Maybe he wasn't. But the Rangers, I don't think it's tough to dislike getting depth. And these are not just like spares, right? I see some people acting like these guys are, they're not even major leaguers. Who knows? But these are guys who are somewhat highly thought of. And if you go around Twitter from Baseball America folks or you talk to folks in other organizations, they seem to agree that the Rangers did a pretty good job. It's just to what degree did they do a good job? Is it an amazing job or is it just a good job? Time will tell.
Jared Sandler, Rangers insider, joining us to talk about Joey Gallo being traded to the Yankees. Did the Rangers really want to extend Joey, and why do you think that didn't get done?
Yeah, I think that the Rangers wanted to extend him. I think that Joey wanted to stay here. I think Joey was probably emotional after, finding out the news. This has been home for him for not just his big league career, remember, since high school. It's been, almost a decade of Joey Gallo in the Rangers organization. But just because both sides want to get it done doesn't mean they're going to agree or reach that agreement. And, maybe if over the next few months they could have, closed that gap a little bit. But clearly there's a gap in negotiations wide enough that maybe left the Rangers with a little bit of doubt that it'd be able to get done. And with that being the case, the last thing you want is to not trade Joey and then not be able to extend him, because that's when, you kind of get left with nothing. You left, with a compensatory pick. So I think, both sides wanted to get it done. My guess, guys, is this was more about the years than the money. If I had to guess, maybe I'm totally wrong. But, my guess is that the Rangers probably were more interested in a 3 to 4 year deal, whereas Joey wanted something, 6 to 7 years.